albeit invisible to the average mortal. These celestial overseers were deemed to possess unparalleled strength and efficiency, surpassing any terrestrial human entity, and were considered eternal. The notion of their demise introduced the fear of complete chaos. Invisible, omnipotent, and everlasting, these entities were revered as gods, referred to in Sumerian as Dingir. The complexity of the physical and metaphysical realms was associated with a plethora of such deities. Historical records reveal that by 2500 BCE, the enumeration of Sumerian deities already encompassed hundreds, each distinguished by a unique name and domain of influence. The Sumerians held a belief in celestial gods such as Apsu, Tiamat, Anshar, and Kishar. These gods, it is said, never set foot on Earth. There are clues that those so-called gods are actually celestial bodies in our solar system. There were also terrestrial gods, major gods, and minor deities confined to specific regions and committed to specific tasks.
And so that's why I said think about mythology, where we have let's see, what's his name? With the Cupid, we have Cupid, who was the god of love, and then we have Hermes, and we have the messenger god, and we have the goddesses like Athena. They were deities who ruled over certain aspects of life. And then we had Zeus, who was just like the king deity who ruled over all of them. But then we have the god the giant who made Zeus, because Zeus killed his father, you feel me? So it was like similar ideas right there. And then also, if you look at religions where they have a bunch of different gods, there's each god and goddess who has their specific area of specialty. So that's how I relate the Anunnaki to just like what I already understand about world religions, you feel me? And then the idea of like we have God, and then we have Jesus in like the Christian church, and then we have the devil, who was an angel and over certain aspects of life before he went bad, so to speak, you feel me? And even in the Bible, it personifies the idea of wisdom as being a woman, you feel me? So it's like, it's interesting, and you just got to combine different things. You have to be well versed in the Bible that tells you, study to show yourself approved, and you got to figure it out.
These gods had limited powers and were often responsible for mundane tasks. Bridging these two categories were the ancient gods, who were believed to have descended from the heavens to earth. These were not mere regional gods. They were gods of national and even international significance. They were believed to have been on earth even before humanity, and mankind's existence was attributed to their creative endeavors. These gods exhibited human-like qualities, including a range of emotions. But who exactly were these ancient deities? At the pinnacle of the divine hierarchy were the sovereign entities governing the universe's primary domains. An, later known as Anu, the deity of the heavens. Enlil, master of the air. Enki, later known as Ea, lord of water. And Ninhursag or Ninmah, the revered Earth Mother goddess. In this video, we are going to concentrate our efforts on understanding who these four specific gods are. In future videos, we are going deeper into others. This video is the first in a playlist dedicated specifically to understanding who is who in the Mesopotamian pantheon, and more specifically, among the Anunnaki. Anu, recognized in Akkadian tradition as An, holds a distinguished place among the oldest and most authoritative figures in Mesopotamian mythology. Initially revered as the supreme god of the Babylonian pantheon, Anu's role encompassed the delegation of power among other gods, enforcing decisions and establishing kingship on earth. As the embodiment of ultimate authority, Anu had the power to elevate other deities, a theme prevalent in ancient literature, such as Inanna's assertion that Anu made her fearsome across the heavens. Over time, his authority became shared with rising deities like Enlil and Marduk, though Anu maintained a distinct status, symbolized by the transfer of Anu power, signifying ultimate divine command. Anu's influence extended to cosmic creation, often credited with shaping the universe, sometimes alongside Enlil and Ea. His domain was believed to be the highest level of the heavens, represented by a star, a universal emblem of divinity consistent across script evolutions. Additionally, the Maltese cross and the horned crown were symbols of Anu's authority. Iconographically, Anu's symbol, a horned crown, is sometimes depicted resting on a throne. However, there are no certain anthropomorphic representations of Anu, with his influence expressed more through royal symbolism and divine insignias such as the tiara, scepter, and staff, which evolved but remained recognized in later periods. Anu's heavenly residence was depicted as a majestic palace where deities gathered for council or major decisions. Later texts present Anu as the son of Anshar and Kishar, aligning with the cosmological framework of the Enuma Elish. His consorts varied, starting with Urash in early Sumerian accounts, later shifting to Ki, the personification of earth, and eventually Antu in Akkadian mythology. As the father of the gods, Anu was considered the progenitor of many deities, including major gods like Enlil, Enki, and Adad, or Ishkur, as well as goddesses like Inanna, also known as Ishtar. His celestial residence not only served as a divine gathering place, but also as a backdrop for mythical events like Oedipus' journey, highlighting the complex dynamics between divine and mortal realms. Oedipus' myth illustrates these dynamics well. A mortal priest, Oedipa ascended to Anu's celestial abode but declined the bread and water of immortality, suspecting deception due to Enki's warning. This decision left Oedipa mortal, showcasing the complexities of divine-human interactions and the mortal misunderstandings of divine intentions. Anu's worship was widespread, with major temples dedicated to him, such as the Eanna Temple in Uruk, often shared with Inanna Ishtar. Known as Eanna, which means the House of An, this temple underwent multiple construction phases, reflecting its sustained importance. Rituals honoring Anu and Antu during their celestial visits were elaborate, involving sacred offerings and meticulous rituals to mark their presence. Anu's cult persisted well into the Seleucid period, especially in Uruk, underscoring his enduring significance. A damaged tablet from Uruk provides insights into ceremonies where Anu and Antu descended to the exalted court of Uruk. During these events, priests prepared offerings, and fires were lit throughout the city, symbolizing divine illumination and unity between the celestial and mortal realms. The departure of Anu and Antu was marked by the opening of the temple gate 40 minutes after sunrise on the 17th day, symbolizing the end of their stay. Farewell hymns and blessings emphasized Anu's role as the supreme link between the divine and earthly realms. Historically, Anu is mentioned in early texts, though identifying his specific presence is challenging due to the ambiguous nature of the cuneiform sign An. The Sumerian term and translates to heaven or sky, representing An as the personified heavens. Interestingly, while the
I wonder if that's where we get the idea of gods in the sky and gods above us because of that translation of the word "an" and it meaning the sky and it being used so much, but it's personified. And then I don't know, because we also have to remember that everything was personified. Like back then, they gave human traits and personalities to everything: the wind, the water, the rain. Oh,
cuneiform sign An also has the value Dingir, meaning God from the Akkadian Ilu. An's name in Sumerian is never written with this divine determinative. In Akkadian, he is known as Anu. The logogram is the number 60 was also used as a learned symbol for Anu. By the mid-3rd millennium BCE, Anu's name appeared clearly in god lists, royal inscriptions, and myths, with kings like Lugalza-Gesi and Sargon first referring to themselves as servants of Anu, reflecting his deep-rooted association with kingship. In literature, Anu often emerges as the sovereign of the heavens, receiving the primeval division of the universe in myths like Gilgamesh, Enkidu, and the Netherworld.
I know off that list is Gilgamesh.
His retreat before Tiamat in the Enuma Elish marked a shift in divine hierarchy, paving the way for Marduk's ascendancy in Babylonian tradition. Even door hinges were oiled as part of rituals to ensure divine rest during Anu's stay, highlighting the meticulous rituals that embodied Anu's divine authority. Enlil, one of the supreme deities in Mesopotamian religion, was central to the pantheon, wielding immense power over fate, kingship, and the divine order. He was Anu's eldest son, often described as the Lord of the Airspace, with authority that extended over both celestial and earthly realms. His commands were far-reaching and unalterable, influencing the course of both the divine and human affairs. Enlil was born in Anu's celestial residence, but later descended to Earth, becoming the principal god of both realms. When divine assemblies were held, Enlil presided alongside his father, demonstrating his role as the ultimate authority. His word was considered lofty and holy, and other gods bowed to him, reflecting the sacredness and permanence of his pronouncements. The primary sanctuary dedicated to Enlil, known as the Kur, or Mountain House, was located in Nippur, the religious heart of southern Mesopotamia, until the 2nd millennium BCE. Nippur, described as the city of earth, symbolized Enlil's connection to both the divine and earthly realms, with the Duranki, or bond of heaven and earth, established there. This bond represented the cosmic connection that Enlil maintained, linking all directions of existence under his command. It is also described as the center of the 4 corners of the world, emphasizing its pivotal role in maintaining the cosmic order. The temple's ziggurat symbolized the connection between heaven and earth, with waters regarded as sweet and life-giving, reflecting the purity of this sacred location. Enlil's genealogy as the firstborn of An positioned him at the top of the divine hierarchy. He was the father of the gods and lord of all lands, holding supreme authority over earthly realms and divine governance. His consort was Ninlil, formerly known as Sud, whom he married under controversial circumstances. Despite this rocky start, Ninlil, later known as the revered Nin.Lil-Kama, remained an important figure, and Enlil was largely faithful to her. Among their children were prominent deities such as Ninurta, Nana, also known as Sin, and Nergal, with other gods like Inanna, also known as Ishtar, Utu, also known as Shamash, Adad, also known as Ishkur, and Namtar, also linked to Enlil's lineage. It is important to note that some Anunnaki, like Inanna, Nergal, and Ishkur, appear in different tablets as descendants of different gods. Nergal at times is portrayed as the son of Enki, while in other instances he is described as the son of Enlil. Similarly, Inanna and Ishkur seem to be both children of Anu and of Enlil. A deep study of the texts reveals these variations. However, to piece together the great puzzle that encompasses mythology and human history, various scholars choose to overlook certain texts or references, aiming for a more concise interpretation of specific events. In ancient hymns, Enlil is praised as the deity who possesses deep knowledge of the fate of the land and Sumer, described as the shepherd of the black-headed ones, referring to his guidance over the Sumerians. He is called the Lord of the Rightful Command, emphasizing his role as the upholder of cosmic balance and divine law. His influence stretched from the mountain of sunrise to the mountain of sunset, making him the singular ruler of all lands. The inscription underscores that no other lord existed within these realms. Enlil alone reigned supreme from east to west. Enlil's decisions were often regarded as immutable. However, there are narratives where he reconsidered his actions, such as in the Atrahasis myth, where he initially decreed a flood to annihilate humanity, but later revised this decision.
Noah.
His power was not limited to punishment. He was also credited with beneficial contributions, such as introducing agriculture and tools like the plow and pickaxe to humanity. Enlil's responsibilities included appointing kings, who were not independent rulers, but divine stewards, acting according to celestial laws. Kings.
That right there is where the idea that if you're royalty or king, queen ship, then you were divinely guided and appointed in the whole bloodline thing.
Like Hammurabi recognized Enlil's authority, starting their reigns by acknowledging his divine summons. Enlil's authority was also evident in Sumerian, Akkadian, and Babylonian monarchs' inscriptions, which attributed their legitimacy and victories to Enlil's favor. Enlil's portrayal in texts and inscriptions also emphasizes his duality. While he could be a bringer of prosperity and the Lord of abundance, he could also unleash devastation. During the Great Flood, he was a key advocate for humanity's destruction, utilizing his wind to release catastrophic storms upon rebellious cities. Nonetheless, when at peace, he was a benevolent deity, bestowing vital knowledge and maintaining the divine order. The Akkadian period further solidified Enlil's status, representing him with the number 50, underscoring his supreme rank.
I think it's really interesting that numbers were used to denote different gods and like used as their sign and seal and emblem, because we put numbers on so many things, doc.
His iconography typically features a horned helmet, signifying divine authority, while his name evolved over time to reflect cultural and linguistic changes. Despite the rise of Babylon and Marduk's ascendancy in the 2nd millennium BCE, Enlil remained a central figure. This transition is notably depicted in the Enuma Elish, where Marduk's defeat of Tiamat marked Babylonian supremacy, yet Enlil continued to be honored and remembered. Enlil's character also included human-like vulnerabilities. He was bound by divine laws and could be exiled for violating these codes. For example, when his actions were considered unjust, he faced exile as punishment, showing that even the highest gods were accountable within the divine assembly. He was also subject to mortal grievances, as evidenced by a Sumerian king's complaint to the divine assembly that the misfortunes of his kingdom were due to Enlil's choice of a worthless leader. Even in later periods, Enlil's influence remained potent. His decrees were considered irrevocable, shaping destinies across generations. The gods continued to show submission to his supreme authority, emphasizing his pivotal role in the cosmic and earthly realms. As the shepherd of the black-headed ones, Enlil's presence stretched from the sunrise to the sunset, symbolizing his far-reaching power and enduring legacy as a central figure in Mesopotamian religious tradition. His cult persisted in Nippur, Babylon, and beyond, with rituals and hymns continually expressing awe and reverence for his authority. Enki, known as Ea in Akkadian, is one of the major gods of the Mesopotamian pantheon, associated with wisdom, magic, and incantations. As the son of Anu, he is often called both Ea and Enki, symbolizing his dual presence in the celestial and terrestrial realms.
Jesus.
Upon descending to Earth, he became the Prince of Earth and the Master of the Salt Waters, ruling over seas, oceans, and the Abut,
Remember, Jesus went to the underworld?
the deep freshwater reservoir beneath the earth. This sacred domain
He didn't stay. He went and broke out, and then he returned.
represented the source of all life and fertility, highlighting Enki's role as a life-giver and sustainer of the land. An ancient Mesopotamian text describes a pivotal moment among the gods, where they joined hands in unity, cast lots, and divided the realms of the cosmos. Anu, the supreme god, took command of the heavens. Enlil was given dominion over the earth, and Enki received the seas, symbolizing the deep mysteries of the earthly domain. Despite being granted control over the waters, Enki felt resentment over losing dominion of the earth to Enlil. Enki claimed to be the true firstborn of Anu, asserting his rightful claim as Anu's heir apparent. This rivalry with Enlil is a central theme in Mesopotamian mythology, often driven by Enki's frustration over the distribution of power. Enki's arrival on Earth coincided with a time when the Persian Gulf's waters extended further inland, creating swamps that became his natural habitat. As a master engineer, Enki designed and built canals, river embankments, and drainage systems, transforming the marshlands into fertile areas. He founded Eridu, also called Haki, or the place of water fishes, at the edge of these marshlands. His grand residence, the Abzu, also known as Engur-Ra or Unir, represented the Abzu's life-giving waters. Enki was depicted as sailing through the marshlands, emphasizing his close ties to aquatic realms and the maritime environment. Enki was central to the creation and protection of humanity. In the Atrahasis myth, he crafted humans from clay to serve the gods, reducing the divine burden of labor. When Enlil decided to flood the earth due to humanity's noise, Enki intervened by warning Atrahasis, enabling the survival of humankind through the building of an ark. This myth exemplifies Enki's cunning and protective nature, as he frequently found ways to circumvent harsh divine decrees. His advocacy for humanity often put him at odds with Enlil, further highlighting their rivalry. Enki's importance in the pantheon extends to his role as the god of wisdom, rituals, and purification. As the patron deity of diviners and exorcist priests, Enki's influence is seen in ritual practices, exorcisms, and incantations. His
Why are all the characters in this thing blue? Like, why are they all blue? Is this like was it Avatar supposed to be something symbolic of Avatar or something? Like everybody is fucking blue.
knowledge of water's purifying nature made him the ultimate source of ritual expertise, invoked in spells to repel evil and cleanse kings after ominous events. Enki's contribution to civilization includes the introduction of agriculture, brickmaking, and canal construction. In the myth Adapa and the South Wind, Enki prevents Adapa from achieving immortality, preserving the balance between gods and mortals while maintaining humanity's magical knowledge. Enki also created the 7 Apkallu, or sages, who imparted wisdom to humanity and served as intermediaries between the divine and the mortal worlds. These beings represent Enki's commitment to the growth of civilization and the imparting of knowledge. An ancient declaration attributed to a prominent deity, likely Marduk, reinforces the divine lineage of Enki's descendants. In this passage, the speaker identifies himself as the fecund seed, born of the great wild bull, a potent source of creation and power. The speaker also claims to be the firstborn son of Anu, underscoring his legitimacy and central role in the pantheon. He refers to himself as the great brother of the gods, emphasizing his status and leadership among the deities. This portrayal reinforces the idea of Enki's cosmic origins and divine authority, positioning him as a figure of reverence among gods and mortals. Enki's genealogy is complex. He is either the son of An, the sky god, or the primordial goddess Namu, who represents the cosmic waters. His consort, Damgalnuna, also known as Damkina, bore deities such as Marduk, Asarluhi, and Nansha, as well as the sage Adapa. Enki's fertility and creative potential are evident in myths like Enki and Ninhursag, where his pursuit of Ninhursag leads to the birth of several deities, merging themes of life-giving energy and mischievous behavior. Enki's visual depictions often portray him as a bearded figure wearing a horned cap, surrounded by flowing water teeming with fish, symbolizing the Abzu's abundance. He is also associated with the moon's crescent, due to the moon's influence on tides, and is known by titles such as Ningiku, which means the Lord Bright-Eye. His other symbolic items include the curved scepter, goatfish, and turtle. In the myth Ninurta and the Turtle, Enki uses a turtle to capture Ninurta, ultimately recovering the Tablet of Destinies, a powerful artifact that controls humanity's fate. Enki's many names, including Denki, Damanki, Nudamud, reflect his versatile nature. He is associated with the number 40, indicating his prominence among Mesopotamian deities. His epithets like Stag of the Abzu and Little Enlil emphasize his roles as a deity of wisdom, transformation, and protection.
I'm tired of seeing these.
Enki's influence persisted across millennia, with his impact seen in texts from the early dynastic period to the writings of Berossus in the 3rd century BCE, where he was equated with the Greek god Kronos. Even as the Mesopotamian pantheon evolved, Enki's status as a benefactor of humanity and a protector of civilization remained central. His mythological roles and ritual functions highlight his enduring importance as a god who balanced creative power, wisdom, and compassion. While Enki seemed to acknowledge Enlil's right to rule, there are indications of ongoing tension between them. Enki's defiance of Enlil's commands is evident in ancient texts and even biblical stories like the Garden of Eden and the Flood. Enki eventually focused on ensuring that his own offspring, rather than Enlil's, would inherit divine authority. He sought to accomplish this with the help of his sister Ninhursag. She was also a daughter of Anu, but not by Antu, adding another layer to the complex rules of divine succession. This divine drama has parallels in human affairs, as evidenced by the Sumerian texts that describe the creation of humanity by Ninhursag, using methods developed by Enki. Ninhursag was the chief medical officer among the gods, known as Ninti, which means both Lady of Life and Lady of the Rib, echoing the biblical story of Eve. An ancient Mesopotamian myth recounts the creation process led by Ninmah and Enki, showcasing the complex and often imperfect nature of early human life. According to the text, Ninmah begins by taking clay from the Abzu, the subterranean freshwater realm, and shaping it into human impairments. Each creation receives a unique fate decreed by Enki, reflecting the god's intentions and the variety of human conditions. First, Ninmah crafts a man with weak, outstretched hands that cannot bend. Enki observes this man and assigns him the role of a servant to the king, indicating the necessity of every being, despite physical limitations. Next, Ninmah shapes a man who turns back the light and has perpetually open eyes. Enki interprets this creation as a musician, granting him the position of a chief in the king's court, symbolizing the association of sensory awareness with artistic gifts. The third creation, feet, unable to walk. Enki decides this individual's role would be related to metalwork, particularly silversmithing. Another version of the text presents the third creation as an idiot, who is also appointed to serve the king, emphasizing utility even in cognitive limitations. Ninmah then fashions a fourth being unable to control urination. Enki responds by bathing this person in enchanted water, driving out a demon, the Namtar, showcasing an early form of healing and purification. The fifth creation is a woman unable to give birth. Enki designates her to serve in the queen's household, or as a weaver according to another manuscript, highlighting adaptability in divine decisions regarding human destinies. Sixth, Ninmah creates an individual without genitalia, whom Enki names the Nibru eunuch, appointing this being to serve before the king, indicating a specific societal role beyond reproductive functions. At this point, Ninmah becomes frustrated, throwing the clay to the ground in silence. In response, Enki proposes a challenge. He will create a new being, and Ninmah must decide its fate. Enki molds a figure with distorted features, its head, eyes, neck, lungs, and other body parts afflicted. This creation, called Umul, is severely impaired, unable to feed itself or move properly, symbolizing the vulnerability of life and the god's experimental approach to creation. The Mesopotamian mother goddess, often referred to as Nintud or Nintur, Ninmah, Belet Ili, or Mami, embodies the principles of creation, fertility, and childbirth. As a central figure in early Mesopotamian religion, she was venerated for her vital role in guiding pregnancies, ensuring safe births, and nurturing life itself. Her domain extended beyond childbirth to include the creation of humankind, establishing her as one of the most influential deities in the ancient pantheon. The label Mother Goddess, while commonly used, is more of a convenient term rather than a precise title, as many goddesses could assume maternal roles within the broader Mesopotamian divine hierarchy. During the 3rd and 2nd millennia BCE, the mother goddess held a prominent status among the gods, appearing alongside deities such as An, Enlil, and Enki in texts like the Lamentation over the destruction of Sumer and Ur, and the Lament over Nibru. Over time, however, her influence waned, with goddesses like Gula, associated with healing, and Ishtar, linked to love and war, taking precedence. Nevertheless, her core functions remained tied to childbirth, encompassing both the guidance of unborn children and their sustenance after birth. The mother goddess is recognized as a creator deity, especially in the Atrahasis myth, where she forms humanity by mixing clay with the blood of a slain god. This process mirrors a tale from the Enki and Ninmah myth, where she competes with Enki in the creation of various beings, ultimately resulting in humans crafted from the clay of the Abzu, the cosmic waters beneath the earth. Legends associated with Mami further detail her creative role. She shapes 14 pieces of primordial clay into womb deities, producing the first 7 pairs of human embryos. Additionally, Under Enki's suggestion, the gods sacrificed one of their own, using its blood and flesh mixed with clay to create humankind. Despite the central role she played in creation, the mother goddess's functions were gradually absorbed by male deities, such as Enki in the Enuma Elish, marking a shift in divine authority often described as the marginalization of goddesses in later literature. The mother goddess, also known as Ninhursag, gradually diminished her influence, and the worship of deities was gradually disappearing. When the god of monotheism arrives in the history of theology, he assumes the roles of both Enki and Ninmah, the mother goddess. In this regard, he became the sole god of creation. The divine genealogy of the mother goddess remains complex and ambiguous. She is occasionally linked as a consort to gods like An, Enlil, Enki, or Shulpe, with numerous offspring that emphasize her prolific role as a creator. Early god lists, such as the An-Anum, record various names and epithets associated with her, underscoring her extensive influence across the pantheon. Her primary cult center was the city of Kish, an important yet-to-be-located site sacred to her worship. Kish is believed to be part of Urusagrig, near Adab, and maintained religious significance even into the Neo-Babylonian period, as evidenced by inscriptions from King Nabonidus. Other cities that housed temples dedicated to the mother goddess include Adab, Assur, Babylon, Lagash, Larsa, Mari, Nippur, Sippar, Aruru, Susa, Umma, and Ur, indicating her widespread veneration across Mesopotamia. The worship of the mother goddess traces back to the early dynastic period, continuing into the first millennium BCE. However, as male deities gained greater prominence, her influence diminished during the latter part of the second millennium BCE. Her iconography is distinguished by the one symbol that is believed to represent the uterus. This symbol is occasionally paired with a knife, symbolizing the cutting of the umbilical cord after birth. The mother goddess is known by several names, each with distinct meanings. Ninmah translates to magnificent queen, while Nintud or Nintur, meaning queen of the birthing hut, emphasizes her association with childbirth. The term Tur relates to the Sumerian word for uterus, reinforcing her connection to life's creation. Her Akkadian name, Belet Ili, means queen of the gods, signifying her esteemed position among the divine. Written representations of her name exhibit various spellings depending on the language and context. Ninmah appears as Dininmah, while Nintud or Nintur is rendered as Dinintur, Dinintura, among other forms, and Belet Ili as Dibilet Dingermesh. Despite these linguistic variations, the mother goddess consistently symbolizes the essence of creation, nurturing, and maternal care throughout Mesopotamian tradition. I remember the time when I was reading The 12th Planet by Zecharia Sitchin for the first time. It was more than 10 years ago. When I read about the mother goddess Mami back then, I was very skeptical of his claims. It seemed unbelievable to me that such a goddess existed in ancient times, revered with those epithets. However, after some time researching, I realized that, yes, he was right. Her name appears in many different myths and stories from ancient Mesopotamia, where she was revered as the mother who bestowed the gift of life. These stories indeed suggest scenarios of genetic manipulation. I believe that this video, as the first in the series about who is who among the Anunnaki, is extremely important. Here, we have explored who is the greatest of all gods, the commander and father who gave rise to the other Anunnaki, Anu, whose name means heaven. Additionally, we have learned about his main children, Enki, Enlil, and Ninmah. Enlil, the Lord of Command, is crucial for understanding the events on Earth. Enki and Ninmah are the father and mother of humanity. Ninmah, the mother goddess, can be considered the first goddess who offers us the concept of Mother Earth. Later interpretations by the Greeks might have transformed her concept into Gaia, the Mother Earth. In the end, it is important to understand that even though we know these gods by certain names, those are not their true names. They are epithets, not exact names. It is essential to understand from the perspectives explored here that the Anunnaki, in one conception, can be interpreted as entities that masked themselves as gods. However, from an even deeper perspective, we must pay reverence and gratitude to the beings who manipulated the chemical structures of this planet to grant us the gift of life. If you enjoyed the video, leave a comment, hit the like button, and choose your next video. For Christians, the death
To celebrate her birth, the king and queen washed the flying rice into the sea.
Why do you plants? Why do you plants? Why do you plants? Why do you plants? Any fathers in here make some noise? Any single dads in the house tonight? Any single dads in the house? Debating with younger niggas about what sexy is. Who I ain't got shit to do with my sexiness. Usually when I get the little Michael Jackson feeling in my noisy spirit, I get the cutting up. It's another cakes and thanks, black, put your trust in us. And I know it's different over here, the king's crushing up. Whatever idea of a woman, look me up, rock it up. Me a tight right, if you choose me, he'll tuck it up. Cause they know that if you choose me, that ain't looking up. And they know that if you lose me,
that's my favorite joint, y'all.
Debating with younger niggas about what sexy is. Who I ain't got shit to do with my sexiness. I'm at Coachella, they sister and shout chiller. Just met my brother who birthday July, mine is December. The same year, it's crazy and unfair. It took 25 years to meet a man whose blood I share. We only months apart and we grew a couple cities over from one another. Now that's a mighty heavy breath of spark. Yeah. Yeah. West side, west side, west side. Ay. West side, west side, west side, west side. West side, west side. No.
My dudes in. I told my mama to marry a guy who probably got like 4, cause I ain't trying to add the people I die for. Cause every day we walk out the house is full.
Why y'all not pressing so hard to get disabled babies in the mix? Why y'all ain't making sure the special needs kid getting paid? Instead you hold decisions in the hands, so when you tell to eat a watermelon seed will grow inside your tummy swell and they believe. somebody say that it's chosen, chosen. I heard somebody say that it's chosen, chosen. I heard somebody say that it's chosen, 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 chosen.
Breaking music video today. You feel me? The Great Quan just dropped, shooting the first video off the tape. You feel what I'm saying? Yeah. If you're not matching my energy, I don't want to see you there.
Plain Jane, I like all my years, no good, legend. She don't give a shot to every nigga. Already in the spot, wait for it, cherry pick. Action, she be in the field, not bleaching. Baby, part of people scoring goals when she need it. Construction worker, I be filling holes when she need it. Pretty with it, first. Baby, she back shots. You tired of me? Talk while I stroke, ain't no line to me.
You hear me? March 21st, I'm shooting a video to my new song, Breaking. I need
Plain Jane, I like all my years, no good, legend. She don't give a shot to every nigga. Already in the spot.
Snow White is out in theater.
Your bullshit, then you can come back, okay? When you're done ordering, then you can come back. Y'all join the guest request if you support Trump, y'all. Only join the guest request if you support Donald Trump. Hi, how old are you?
Hello?
How old are you?
Girl, I gotta tell you something. I love you so much, and I love your live. Like, oh my gosh, you're so pretty too. Like,
Thank you.
Oh my god, I love your live.
I appreciate you,
Oh,
man.
you be talking AT. Oh my god.
I gotta move on. I appreciate you, though. Thank you so much. Let's go on to the next person, y'all. Remember, guys, we are just looking for debates. We are just looking for people who voted for Donald Trump, y'all. Give it a second. We'll get some more debates in. I'll be eating everyone. You don't get this big doing nothing. That's for damn sure. Anyway, y'all, if you support Donald Trump, join the guest request. Remember, we are just looking for debates. If you only join the guest request if you supported Trump, y'all. Hi, how old are you? Hello, are you there?
Hello?
How old are you?
20.
Okay, so do you support Donald Trump?
Yeah, so basically, like, I'm from London, yeah. So like, I'm just you know, people that support Trump, are they real?
Okay, so do you support Donald Trump?
No.
Okay, let's go on to the next person, y'all. Give it a second. We'll get some more debates in. Give it a second, y'all. In the meantime, y'all, keep double tapping that screen. If you do want to support me, and you should support me because I'm awesome and perfect and wonderful, Cash App and Venmo at the top of that little green.
In any shape or form, and you're coming up with reasons for bad behavior, I think that
Mile range on
And model of the
me, but no.
I need.
Oh, coming up. Yeah.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Thank you. 4974. Thank you. You too.
Pops, my favorite song right now.
I keep in precision. I gotta get it, I'm up on a mission. My intuition be telling me go. My inner critic been telling me no. I tell him shut up cause I'm running the show. Weight on my back, yeah, I carry the load. No, I did dirt, but yet I still grow. They all asthmatic, they don't want to smoke. Mom on the phone and she tell me to slow down a little bit. So much on my mind, thinking about what I can get. If I just pick up the grind, know that I'll shine. Put that work in, yeah, I've been on my shift, no stick. And I see that it's mine every time that I go in, it's legit. Always move forward, I never look back. Keep it 100 for quarters, no, I got the sack. Yeah, I stay strapped with the word and no snap. No Mitchell and Ness, yes. Wasn't raised up in no trap, but was raised to finesse. A wolf at his best, putting out work and I don't need no dance. I don't got no heart, bitch, I don't need no chest. Shining like crest, ay, ay, tell me what's next. I'm on the search as I'm walking this earth. Skin tone, same color as dirt. They don't see my worth, but no, it don't hurt. Hey, hey, cause I know for sure. I'll touch a milli for I touch a hearse. Flexing, I'm flexing, I don't need a shirt. Get the last laugh, I'm coming in first. I move through the city while keeping precision. I gotta get it, I'm up on a mission. My intuition be telling me go. My inner critic been telling me no. I tell him shut up cause I'm running the show. Weight on my back, yeah, I carry the load. No, I did dirt, but yet I still grow. They all asthmatic, they don't want to smoke.
Thank you. I've been trying to just find shit and wrap it up.
Hey. So yeah. Screaming fuck just what they told ya. Young Buffalo Soldier. Look. I've been working long nights just so I could take a day off. Inspired by they song, so I gotta pray for takeoff. Know I'm about to take off. Gambled and it went right. A lot of people went left, but I still kept sight. Eye on the prize, or your eye on the prison. My eye on the pen, they get boxed when I'm spitting. Murder in the beat, that's the main thing that I'm killing. On the search for me, that's the one thing that I'm healing. I don't care about the parents. I'm just doing me, and I hope that it's apparent. I cannot do nothing else. I don't do it for my health. I've been working overtime, trying to show these niggas that I really do deserve a bell. Yeah, I do deserve a bell. If I don't know nothing else, nah, if I don't know nothing else, I've been working. Just like my I just keep going and going and going. Straight to the top, I'm already knowing. Just like my locks, the money keep growing. I got them on stock when I drop it, be potent. I just keep going and going and going. Straight to the top, I'm already knowing. Just like my locks, the money keep growing. I got them on stock when I drop it, be potent. Check me blowing down, I ain't talking about a fan. No, I got the bomb, not the shit was Iraq, Afghanistan, understand my man. I run it. What you talking, you ain't talking about nothing. Whole lot of wolves don't make them need to hunt. Know it's going down in this bitch, that's plummet. Trying to reach the top, ayy, that's the summit. Ball in this bitch, ooh, like drumming. Tell them I'm coming for the fucking dub, yeah, you know I want it. So I summon every bit of energy in me. Fee, 5-4 from my enemy. Who wants this? We gotta see. Like the burning tree.
I'm live. I forgot. All right, bet. Let's get it. So apparently they found some stuff underneath the towers that they weren't expecting to find. Not the towers, the pyramids. They found some interesting structures underneath the pyramids.
They're just looking at LiDAR images, but whatever this is a uniform structure. There's several pillars, and all of this is like very, very, very weird.
Yeah, it's 600 meters descending down those cylinders, and then there's more stuff below it, and then there's additional structures inside of it. Yeah, that was crazy.
It's really crazy. There's a guy, Jay Anderson, and he did a breakdown of it. Maybe this would be good. We could play this. It makes a little more sense when someone's explaining it to you.
Well, yeah, I mean, we need somebody that's an expert here, not me and you.
Zawi Hawass, by the way, has said it's nonsense. So I don't know.
Already?
Yes. According to Graham Hancock. This is the wonderful thing about having Graham Hancock.
I texted Graham yesterday. I was like, yeah, what's going on with this?
Yeah. So click on that and go full screen, please.
How significant of a discovery this is.
Dun, dun, dun. I love the music. And geometry, so you know it's real.
You got to appreciate the dramatic intro.
Project Unity.
What has just been announced in relation to the pyramids at the Giza Plateau and the plateau itself is so incredible, so awe-inspiring and narrative shattering that I have been sitting here for the last hour trying to wrap my head around the implications of what we were just told. So this is pretty much breaking news because the new findings were announced on the 16th of March at a press conference held by the team who was studying the Great Pyramid of Giza with a non-invasive technology that was first developed by Filippo Bionde and Corrado Malanga called synthetic aperture radar Doppler tomography.
Fuck, that's a
this
mouthful.
was used to explore the internal structure of the Great Pyramid of Giza. And this method leverages the analysis of micro movements typically generated by background seismic activity to achieve a high resolution full 3D tomographic imagery interior. Recent findings from deploying this technology are nothing short of mind-blowing, because what's been discovered is that there are huge structures coming down from the base of the pyramid deep into the bedrock, in fact over 600 meters deep, which then connects to structures that extend up to 2 kilometers below the surface of the ground. 2 kilometers. Massive internal structures connected to the base of the pyramid and extending deep.
But essentially, this kind of looks like it's a battery to me, dog.
Deep down. This is what we know so far.
What does your friend think about it?
Which friend?
The one that you said it's bullshit.
Oh, that's not my friend. That's Zawi Hawass.
Okay.
Zawi Hawass is the head of antiquities in Egypt. He's like the head guy that talks to the archaeologists and gives the official narrative. In the past, he's been extremely hostile to Graham Hancock, but Graham Hancock and him have now become friends.
Oh, yes. I do know this guy.
Coordinating. Graham is a lovely guy. People that like are enemies with him just need to get to know him and hang out with him. He's a genuine, real human being who's trying to find the truth.
All right, let's look at the pyramids and what they recently found underneath them, because that was Joe Rogan's breakdown, whatever. This is more in depth a little bit. Now let's get into it.
They're claiming that the greatest archaeological discovery was just made at the pyramids. But what does this mean for Christianity? For a long time, the pyramids have had tons of speculation and mystery about their origin. On one side of the spectrum, you have some people that say it was definitely built by humans. We just don't know how they did it. And the other side says it was definitely aliens, a more advanced species that came over and used their advanced technology to build something.
Isn't that just funny how it's just like completely polar opposites? It's like human beings never could have possibly done this in their life. The weight of the stones, the precision of the cut, the size of these massive structures. And then other people are like, yeah, it just took a whole bunch of slaves. It just took a whole bunch of essentially brown people to build it. It's like, was it people or was it not, dog?
Thing that within that context and time in history can't be explained. But this latest discovery may reveal something even more mysterious. And it's possible that the narrative that all these pyramids were tombs is all wrong. And interestingly enough, some of these theories may even be explained through scripture. But before we get into that, guys, my name is Ruslan. This channel exists to encourage, empower, and inspire you to live a life that blesses God. So if you're new here, or if you're not new here, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. Make sure you're subscribed. There's a huge percentage of people that watch this channel, unfortunately, are not. All right, let's jump into the video. I'll try to keep this as simple as possible. Basically, they used radar Doppler tomography from outer space that they were able to scan to see the foundations of the pyramids, meaning that they now understand what's underneath the pyramids. And what they discovered is rather shocking, if we're going to be honest. This was posted by Jay Anderson, who basically kind of synthesized the press release, and I think he's the one that created these graphics, so I want to make sure we give him a shout out, where they show what's underneath these pyramids using this new technology that can help them scan the ground. Check this out.
The recent findings from deploying this technology are nothing short of mind-blowing, because what's been discovered is that there are huge structures coming down from the base of the pyramid deep into the bedrock. In fact, over 600 meters deep, which then connects to structures that extend up to 2 kilometers below the surface of the ground.
That's really deep. They're going to the bedrock, meaning the foundation of the earth, which is crazy that the bedrock's so high in Egypt. You know, I didn't expect almost a mile deep. I guess of just sand and stuff, dirt and sand. And so they're going to the very, very, very deep of the bedrock. And these pyramids have these foundations that we didn't know they had prior.
And before it gets too much further into this, I just want to say that from something I learned is that the pyramids were possibly sound chambers and not tombs. And they would go down there and play sound and amplify. And that's what they were used for, whether it was to transmute the energy in people or other people say that
massive internal structures connected to the base.
And they did so by using the vibrations to move things, and that they use the vibrations to power their cities and stuff. And the outsides of the pyramids are coated with limestone, so they used to generate a charge when certain like criteria were met. But enough of me spewing my nerd brain. Let's get back into it.
No, they had prior to this.
Massive internal structures connected to the base of the pyramid and extending deep, deep down. This is what we know so far. This has allowed researchers to create a 3D model of the internal structure of the Great Pyramid of Giza. Now, this model has revealed a previously unknown chamber with 5 horizontal levels and a sloping roof, which in of itself is an architectural design unlike any previously documented in the Giza Pyramid.
Okay, so I've always found it odd that they spent all this time, all this money, decades, to just build tombs for dead guys. Like, I understand that the pharaohs were like godlike to them, but to spend all this money, all this resource to build something that was just a glorified burial site for a pharaoh didn't really.
But this is the thing. It's like, all right, so if the pharaohs really were godlike, that means they were expecting them to come back and that they were going to be housed in those spaces. So I hear what he's saying, but like, if you think about fallen angels concept and how they were banished away in chambers until the right time, like it kind of makes sense. It's like they were preparing the tomb/chamber for the deity to live in until it was time for him to resurface. But at the same time, I understand it's a tomb. You can put him in a box and bury him, and if he's coming back to life, he'll come back to life just the same.
Jive with me. Seemed like something was off. Seemed like a bad waste of resource and time. It just seemed weird. And so now what they're starting to get at is that perhaps these structures are alluding to some more utility for the pyramids than just these places that house the tombs of dead guys.
Now, this design not only implies a functional purpose, but also a level of sophisticated engineering that completely blows the dynastic Egyptian model out of the water. I mean, the pyramid itself was already a massive red flag in the ancient Egyptian historical narrative. But now, with this discovery, I think it's become impossible.
And so this is where all the theories start to come out, including Billy Carson's beloved Emerald Tablets.
It's also possible that this spiraling cylindrical series of structures are staircases. And I can't help but think of the channeled writings of Thoth the Atlantean, you know, the Emerald Tablets, speaking of a lost hall of records, a sacred hall of knowledge below the Giza Plateau, the halls of Amenti. Could this be the lost hall of records from the pre-flood era?
And it's interesting to hear him say the Emerald Tablets while at the same time talking about the pre-flood era, which we're definitely going to get to a little later in this video. And so everyone's favorite drunk uncle had to get in on this. This is Alex Jones, and he posted this rendition of what the foundation of it looks like. I don't know if he put this together or AI did, but this is rather spectacular. I gotta admit it. And some people even began drawing the similarities between this image and the Washington Monument and the connection of something inside of the human spirit to want to create long, tall, and deep pillars. Now,
if you look all over the place, there's, what is it, a monolith? Let me look real quick. Yeah, a large stone formation, a large structure or organization. That's funny that I knew that so quickly. Like, I'm not going front, like I knew that that was right. It just felt like the right word. But yeah, those are all over the world. Even if you just look at the Eiffel Tower is not exactly straight up like that, but same shape. You feel me? And it's like New York City buildings, like everything's built up like that. And then if you look at like necklaces, and then they have just slabs of certain stones and stuff, they make them in that same shape. So crystals and stones. So interesting.
This has been an absolute boom in the woohoo community, with some even pointing to the similarities of earthing and plants and the energy of the earth being able to be harnessed by you and I. In response to the video that we looked at earlier, check out this reaction. I am reminded of these copper coil wrapped cylindrical sticks gifted to me by a friend. I was told they create some kind of an energetic effect that enhances the health and vitality of the plants. I'm
not commenting on the life of the plants part, but what he said just before that is just the same thing as Nikola Tesla and some of the structures and things that he had built in the same shapes and everything, but whatever.
Not sure how they connected this to the pyramids, but like, I'm here for it. Needless to say, from now until they actually reveal all of the archaeological discoveries, this is a great time for the Billy Carsons of the world to have a woo-woo course. And like many things that are theories and even scams, they tend to be anchored in some degree of truth. And this is where we get into the theory that the pyramids weren't just glorified tombs for powerful dead guys, that the pyramids were actually used to harvest energy. That's right. And this is not just some crazy conspiracy. This was apparently believed by engineer Nikola Tesla. And here's a breakdown from the WIVE files of the theory that Nikola Tesla believed regarding this energy and how it's harvested. Check this out.
Acoustic engineers have determined the gallery resonates at 440 hertz and naturally emits an F-sharp chord. 440 hertz and the F-sharp chord have been connected to a lot of woo-woo ideas.
So let's just connect the idea that, one, I was right about Nikola Tesla, and then two, he just connected the frequency to what is it? A musical scale. You feel me? Oh, whatever. Let's get back into it.
Ideas, but there's a reason for that. It's considered a sound that resonates in harmony with the earth. The builders of the pyramid knew this. Longtime Mac users will recognize this sacred chord. At At the top of the gallery.
Wow. That's crazy. Now,
that is interesting. That is crazy right there. I was not ready for it to be the same sound as the Mac. And that just lets you know, dog, like somebody knows more than they're telling us.
there's a whole theory about modern music and potentially retuning certain songs to be more in line.
Just say it's in the music. And before he goes any deeper, I just want to say this. The frequency that we listen to music at today is not the original programming that sound is even played in. The frequency that we hear sounds through on our phones and on the radio and stuff is, I believe, 44.1 hertz. You heard the number one. One is not able to be divided by any other numbers. So it is not a whole number and it's not necessarily a natural number. You feel me? You can't just take 1 plus 1 and get 2 and then divide it. You feel me? It doesn't work that way. It's a decimal, 44.1. So it's not natural. That sound doesn't happen in nature. With every sound in nature, the wind, the water, something growing, like fire burning, like natural sounds, all have a frequency. The frequency that we listen to music at today is not natural. It does not occur in nature. No person, element, frequency makes that sound in whatever. And then when it goes through that broadcasting, it's broadcasted at 44.1. Anyway, let's get back into it.
With the earth, like that's a whole thing that mixing engineers talk about a lot. And so it's interesting that this is in tune and the Mac is in tune, and that there's this whole connection with all of it.
Gallery is a chamber. The opening is 8.4 by 4.8 inches. Hydrogen microwaves to pass into the king's chamber, which also resonates at 440.
Microwaves. A microwave is using tiny waves of sound and electromagnetic activity. Microwaves. A wave. You feel me? Like the water, a wave. Music is made in waves. WAV is a file. You feel me? And that's what we use all the time. Microwaves to do things. It's like we saying hi to God. It's a microwave.
40 hertz and F sharp. Above the king's chamber are 5 layers of granite beams, stacked and separated by air gaps. This is called the relieving chamber because it was believed that this interior structure relieved the weight of the pyramid. That's not what it does. The beams are smooth on 3 sides, but rough cut on the top. Christopher Dunn believes the reason for the rough cut is this is how the beams were tuned. The builders could vibrate the granite beams and slowly chip away at the stone until they resonated with an F-sharp chord, which they do. The king's chamber is what's known as a Helmholtz resonator.
Again, what did I say? What did I say? What did I say? People believe that they use the pyramids to play certain sounds and frequencies to get other things to happen, i.e. move things. And they built the pyramids by using sound to move the stones and to cut them.
Resonator. Create sound, that's a Helmholtz resonator. Change the volume of liquid in the bottle, or change the volume of stone within the chamber, you change the pitch. The entire complex is a giant musical instrument. Now, some skeptics reluctantly agree that the Great Pyramid has musical properties. But for skeptics to consider the pyramid as a power plant, they would need evidence to show that a giant stone pyramid would respond to electromagnetic energy.
Okay.
There was no...
Okay. I'm going to be honest. I don't know how we make the leap from it vibrating to it being a power plant. Within just making this video, there's some very obvious things that our buddy...
I can explain really quick because vibration makes energy. It's pretty much as simple as that. And everything is vibrating. And so when you make music, when you make sound, things shake. When we talk, we're sending airwaves into our ears. If you make a big enough and powerful enough sound at the right frequency, you get things to happen. We all have seen in movies when somebody's singing really high and break a glass. That's because they're freeing a wave that is high enough to touch the glass and break it. So if you understand what frequency everything vibrates at, you'll know what you need to do in order to affect it. Capiche? Same thing as when you take a magnifying glass and hold it up to the sun and you set something on fire. That's grabbing that energy wave at the right angle and amplifying it. So it's like created a vibration and then they used the pillars in the pyramid to amplify it. You feel me? Let's keep going.
got completely wrong. For starters, the F sharp chord is not 440 frequency. The F sharp note is also not 440 frequency. Okay, it's 369 hertz. Every single note on a piano makes a specific frequency when you hit it. Respectfully, it makes me question how much of the rest of the video is inaccurate based on this whole, the tunes are connected to 440 hertz when he's saying F sharp chords, and that's not how chords work, nor is this the actual frequencies of the notes. But that's neither here nor there.
All right, now let's look up that real quick. I'm sorry, I can't not. I prefer ChatGPT over Google these days. So we're gonna look up what is the frequency of F4 chord. Depends on the frequencies and the individual notes. 369, he's right. 369, I don't see 440 on here. So let's see, what chord corresponds to 440 hertz? There isn't one. It says A4, A major, C sharp, and E, F major. I'm right here, A4, maybe he meant F major. But I don't know, let's get back into the video, it's cool.
Are connected to 440 hertz when he's saying F sharp chords, and that's not how chords work, nor is this the actual frequencies of the notes. But that's neither here nor there.
Whether true or not, it's scientifically possible that the Great Pyramid was a structure for creating, harnessing, and focusing energy. The exterior was made of material that insulates electricity. The interior was made of material that conducts electricity. The chambers were made of material that creates electricity. The next piece of evidence is the pyramid's ability to focus EM energy. In 2018, scientists used radio waves at different frequencies to see if the Great Pyramid were magnetic waves of a resonant length. Their experiments proved that in a resonant state, the pyramid can concentrate electromagnetic energy in the internal chambers as well as under its base. Resonance in the pyramid can be induced by radio waves with the lengths ranging from 200 to 600 meters. The closer to 200 meters, the more dramatic the effect. A year after that, in 2019, Eric Wilson published a paper called A Large-Scale Thermal Acoustic Generator. The paper describes how, when granite and other rocks are vibrated, electrons will migrate through the rock and up to the surface. By combining science and music, the builders of the pyramid created a power-generating machine tuned to the natural harmonic of the Earth's vibration that primarily comes from the tidal energy created by the moon's gravity. This technology, created thousands of years ago, could generate unlimited clean energy. But how did they get the energy out? That brings us back to Tesla.
So regardless on the theories around frequencies and whether the pyramids can harvest energy, you're kind of left with two different views of this. Before I explain those, what we do know is that it likely was not ancient Egyptians that had this sort of revolutionary technology. So we're kind of left with two possibilities. One is that it was some other more advanced civilization that built these sorts of things that got wiped out by the flood, that's also referenced in the Bible and referenced in many other stories from antiquity, or it was aliens. And the alien story tends to be very compelling. This is where Billy Carson gets his emerald tablets from. This is where a lot of people find intrigue in that another species that's more technologically advanced came down and gave humans this advanced technology. But there's only one problem with that. And my buddy, Nate Sala from Wise Disciple, who's actually going to be at the Blessed God Summit, more on that later, did a great job explaining why the idea of aliens coming here is unlikely. Check this out.
We even know on a very limited scale that there are other beings that God has created who, it appears, do not share our unique quality of being made in the image of God. I'm referring to angels right now. So, you know, is it possible for there to be other beings that God has created somewhere else in the universe? And the answer is yes, of course, it's possible. But that's not the question to ask, in my opinion. I think a better question to ask is it plausible that the experiences that folks are having are with alien beings from another planet in our universe. And as far as I can understand, as I understand the issue, the answer is no, it is not plausible. There's a really great book. It's called The Privileged Planet. Well, according to the authors of The Privileged Planet, the Earth fits into the Goldilocks zone, which is a rare environment in the universe for life to thrive. As far as we can tell, only our planet fits into this Goldilocks zone. There does not appear to be another Goldilocks zone out there in the observable universe. So that's why I say this is not plausible that there are alien beings from another planet. But, okay, let's concede that for argument's sake. Let's say they do exist. Okay, well, now they need to travel all the way here. The problem is the nearest galaxy is something like 25,000 years away, and that's if the spaceship travels at the speed of light. So now we're talking about beings that would have to live unbelievably ridiculous long periods of time, and in order to survive getting here. And that's why I say it's unlikely. It's implausible that there are alien beings from some other planet in a galaxy far, far away traveling here. Now, maybe we're not dealing with interstellar travel, right? Maybe we're dealing with interdimensional travel. Okay, that's more interesting because the Bible appears to touch on this notion. Right? Okay, Christians in the audience, here's a question for you. Where is heaven located? If you look at the creation account in Genesis and you sort of, reflect on what we know about science, well, then clearly God created the universe at a finite moment in the past. This means that space and time and matter, all these things came into existence at some point. And if you rewind time enough down to the moment of creation, what you have before creation, if I can use those words to make sense of that moment, what that is an environment outside of space, time, and matter. To the best of our knowledge, to me, this is another dimension.
He goes on to point out that in Ephesians chapter 6, verse 12, the Apostle Paul, who's writing the church in Ephesus, kind of alludes to this fairly clearly in verse 12. He says, we are not fighting against flesh and blood enemies, but against evil rulers and authorities of the unseen world, against mighty powers in this dark world, and against evil spirits in the heavenly places. That there is an unseen world that is happening. And is it possible that spirits coming from the unseen world are able to impact different parts of history from a different dimension into our dimension? Well, I would argue yes. I would argue, just like Nate did, that this is actually more plausible than this idea that aliens came and gave Egyptians sophisticated tools that we don't have access to today, and that's how they were able to build these.
If you think about it, instead of just being aliens or from another planet, in the same way you think about another dimension as another planet, wow, there you go. Like, solve the confusion.
Super mild, deep pillars that the pyramids then stood on top of, and they were potentially even able to use some form of energy from these pyramids. And if you think about it, that is a beautiful part about the gospel narrative, the idea that Jesus, who is God, Yahweh, is immaterial and then comes in a material, physical body, lives the life we couldn't live, dies the death we should have died on the cross in our place for our sins, then rises on the third day and empowers us to usher in heaven on this side of eternity. The same way we see him in the Lord's Prayer say, thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Heaven is another realm. Heaven is not a physical place, though there will be a new heaven and new earth when Jesus returns. That's the beautiful part. And all of us who are followers of Jesus get to get in on this mission with him. And that is exactly the heart of what we're attempting to do with the Blessed God Summit. Like I told you guys, my buddy Nate.
All right. I was rocking with everything, but I don't understand his segue from that last part into this part. Like, I understand giving God the glory part, but connecting it to the pyramids part, that was a bit of a reach. So, yeah. But with everything else, I just think it's really interesting that we're seeing this stuff now and trying to piece together this story when there's already been so much evidence that it was more than just a burial chamber, but that idea has been ran with for so long, for who knows why. All right, let's get into it. Was not ready for this, but said if we gonna go there, let's go there then. Oh, this right here is about Adam, Eve, Lilith, and the giants of the Bible. If you don't know about Lilith, you'll find out now. Essentially, Adam possibly had more than one wife. Mhm. Before. Yeah. I don't like his explanation. It's not in depth. That's not what I was expecting him to say at all. Explain like who Lilith was and where she came from. He just explained that she was the mother of Adam's demon's child. Pretty much accurate and the same are two different things. And I'm gonna just say this from my own like looking up words in Hebrew and looking at different interpretations of the King James Bible, and then looking at interpretations of like the complete Jewish Bible or like the International Bible or there's different, you feel me? I have an app, you could literally look at like 10 different versions of the Bible on it. Him saying that it's pretty accurate, I understand, but like sometimes the understanding you get from reading a different interpretation is slightly different because of the word choice. Because sometimes in Hebrew, we'll have like two or three words that make that idea of the word. So they'll translate it as being this. And then another translation will make it's hard to explain with an exact example in mind, but whatever, are pretty close, but there's differences. Oh, this is interesting. Mainly because of the questions that Rogan is asking for real, for real. He's like, so you don't believe it was like actual figure, literal, or was it figurative? And he's like, no, as if. Like, it's a different world now.